The stones in the sock attack was Sutcliffe's first documented assault. She was a female prostitute who he happened to see whilst looking for a woman who had tricked him out of some money. The attack took place in September 1969. Several incidents in the summer of 1969 led Peter Sutcliffe to his hatred for prostitutes, and shortly thereafter to his first known attack. Sonia Zersma was Peter Sutcliffe's regular Saturday night date and his serious girlfriend. However, she had been spotted by his brother Mick with an Italian boy who was a local ice cream salesman. Sutcliffe, feeling betrayed and utterly devastated, decided to confront her. But Sonia refused to answer any of his questions about the situation or to tell him whether their relationship was over or not. That night, Sutcliffe decided to take his revenge by using a prostitute. Driving up Manningham Lane at a petrol station, he saw a prostitute waiting for customers. Having confirmed that she was doing business, they agreed on a price of £5. I thought I would have sex with her, but I changed my mind when it actually came to sex. We were on the way to her place and talking, and I realised what a coarse and vulgar person she was. Before getting out of the car, I was trying to wriggle out of the situation, but I felt stupid as well. I'd picked up the girl outside the garage, and I realised after that the men who worked there were her protectors. I'd given her a £10 note and she said she'd give me the change later. We got to her house and went inside. There was a huge Alsatian dog on the mat in front of the fire downstairs. She started going upstairs and I realised I just didn't want to go through with it. The whole thing was awful. I felt disgusted with her and myself. I went upstairs behind her and into the bedroom. I even unzipped her dress, but I told her straight out I didn't want anything to do with her. She could keep the money, just give me my change. She said she'd have to go back to the garage where I'd picked her up and get some change, so I drove her there. I just wanted to get away. I felt worse than ever about Sonia and everything. We went back to the garage by car and she went inside and there were two blokes in there. I don't know whether she did this regularly, but she wouldn't come back out. One of the men came banging on the car roof when I refused to go away. He said, if I were you, I wouldn't get out of the car. You'd better get going. I would have had a go at him, but he was holding the wrench in a menacing sort of way. Then I saw the girl come out with another big built bloke and they walked off having a laugh. I just felt stupid. I drove home more angry than ever. I felt outraged, humiliated and embarrassed. I felt a hatred for the prostitute and her kind. 3 weeks later, he saw the same prostitute in a pub. I approached the one I had been with 3 weeks previously and told her that I hadn't forgotten about the incident and that she could put things right so that there would be no hard feelings. I was giving her the opportunity to put things right and give me back the payment I had made to her. She thought this was a huge joke, and as luck would have it, she knew everyone else in the pub and went round telling them. Before I knew what was happening, most of the people were having a good laugh. In September 1969, Peter Sutcliffe's first known attack took place. This was a couple of weeks after approaching the prostitute and asking for his money back. Peter Sutcliffe and Trevor Birdsall were sitting in Trevor's minivan in St Paul's Road near Manningham Park, Bradford. Sutcliffe had been looking for the prostitute he had a grievance with, but had not found her. Sutcliffe suddenly left the vehicle and began to walk up St Paul's Road and out of sight. He came back about 10 minutes later and was out of breath, as if he had been running. He told Trevor to drive off quickly. As they began heading toward Bingley, Sutcliffe claimed that he'd followed an old cow into a house somewhere and said he had hit her on the back of the head with a stone in a sock. He removed the sock from his pocket and dumped the remaining contents out of the window. The next day, 2 police officers visited Peter Sutcliffe at his home at 57 Cornwall Road, Bingley. The woman, who bore no resemblance to the prostitute who had duped him out of the £10, had noted the number of Trevor's minivan. Sutcliffe admitted that he had struck the woman, but claimed it was only with his hand. He was given a stern lecture by the police, but was also told that he was very lucky as a woman, for her own reasons, did not want to press charges for the assault. Besides being a known prostitute, her common-law husband was serving a sentence for assault, and apparently she wanted nothing more to do with the incident. On September the 29th, 1969, within weeks of the stone in the sock attack, Sutcliffe again went out looking for a prostitute to attack. This time he took a hammer and a long-bladed knife. I was driving my old Morris Minor and I was looking for a prostitute. I knew this was a mission I had to carry out. The voices told me it wasn't good enough to just attack them. I had to do it properly. I had to kill. He was arrested in the garden of a house in the Manningham area of Bradford after his car, with its lights and engine turning over, had been spotted by a policeman doing his rounds. The policeman discovered Sutcliffe hunched behind a private hedge with a hammer. Sutcliffe claimed that the hubcap had flown off his front wheel and that he had been looking for it. The hammer was to help secure it back into place. However, in October of 1969, he was fined £25 for going equipped for theft, and his real reason for being out, to attack a prostitute, was not revealed. Sutcliffe claimed that he had slipped the long-bladed knife down a gap between the side of the police vehicle and the mudguard cover of the police van that came to collect him. It was never discovered by the police. 12 years later, when arrested in Sheffield in 1981, Sutcliffe would again attempt to hide his weapons from the police, but they would be found, ending his long streak of luck with the police. I got out of the car and asked her the time and hit her with a sock with a stone in it. I was depressed. I had trouble with violent headaches. I blamed prostitutes. I was out of my mind with the obsession of finding the prostitute, referring to the prostitute that had duped him out of the £10. I had been out with Trevor, my friend, looking for this particular one, and it was getting late. I just gave vent to my anger on the first one I saw. On how he knew the woman was a prostitute. Because she was walking along the road slowly, along the curb, looking at the cars across the road. I got out of the car, went across the road and hit her. The force of the impact tore the toe off the sock and whatever was in it came out. I went back to the car and got in it. Trevor Birdsall, 32, of Pollard Park, Bradford, said the incident happened in Bradford's red light district in about 1969. He had driven with Mr. Sutcliffe in a mini car to Manningham Lane, Bradford, and Mr. Sutcliffe had asked him to stop the car. Mr. Birdsall said that Mr. Sutcliffe, who was an old friend of his, went up St. Paul's Road and out of sight. When he returned to the car, he got in fairly quickly. He looked a bit excited and was not breathing normally. It looked as if he had possibly been running. Sir Michael Havers asked whether Sutcliffe had said anything, and Birdsall replied, "He just told me to drive off. I asked him where he had been and he said he'd followed a woman into a house somewhere. He said he had hit her. I'm not too sure. He mentioned something about money, but I can't remember too well." Mr. Havers said, "Did you get an impression as to what sort of woman he had followed?" Mr. Birdsall said, "I would imagine the lady was a prostitute, but that was just my guess because of the area." Sir Michael Havers, "Had he got anything with him?" Mr. Birdsall, "Yes, he pulled a sock from his pocket and there was a small brick or a stone in it. I think he threw the stone out the window." Mr. Justice Boreham interrupting, "Did he say whether he used it?" Mr. Birdsall, "I think he said he did, but I don't know whether to believe him or not." Mr. Justice Boreham, "Don't worry about that. Did he say whether he had used it?" Mr. Birdsall, "I think he did, yes. I think he hit her on the head."